The second improvement that we want to make is making it so that if the snake hits the wall, then it says game over and everything kind of stops on the screen. So we're going to create a function for game over where we draw the word game over on the screen, and then we'll look for when that occurs, because we're going to use that also in the next improvement where we make it game over if we hit ourself as well, if the snake hits into itself. So we're going to go down. It doesn't really matter where down here you create this. I'm going to put it down by the update, but above it right here. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to say print game over to the screen. What I want to do here is create a function called game over. And what it's going to do is first, I'm going to clone the basic sprite that we made at the top because it has a couple properties that I want, and I'll show you what that is. If you look at this basic one, it's going to pull the pen up and the speed. It's going to do these. I'm going to write over that, but that saves me 2 lines of code. So whatever, I'll take it. So I'm going to clone that sprite, and now I'm going to hide that turtle because I don't want to see what it's doing. And I'm going to go to the very center of the screen, which is 0, 0. And at 0, 0, I'm going to change the color of my turtle to red because I want that to be the color of the words game over. I'm going to put my pen down, and then I'm going to write game over. It's just that easy. So I'm going to say game over, and then I'm going to do a little bit to the font here just to make it look a little bit better. I'm going to put a comma and align equals center, and then another comma. Oops, there we go. And say font, and you can pick your font. I'm going to do Arial because why not? There are some other fun ones you can mess with, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do Arial. I'm going to make it 40 pixels, and I'm going to make it bold so it's nice and big in the middle of the screen. Then I'm just going to pull that pen right back up so I don't accidentally write on the screen anywhere. So that's my basic game over. We can test it out by calling it in the update loop right away. I'm going to test it. Right here. Probably have to go into running here though. And just make sure it looks right. And I'm going to hit play. And there, you can see game over shows up in the middle of the screen. It looks good. You can see all the other stuff going on. We're going to end all of that. But for right now, we know that it works. So delete that. That was just a check to make sure it works. So when the game is over for this improvement is when we've hit the top, bottom, left, or right side of the game area. And the game area, remember, is like 200 by 200 pixels wide. So what I'm going to look for is if the snake has gone like past 200x, that would be this way. Past negative 200x will be this way. Past 200y and negative 200y. So what I'm going to do is hop myself over in my update function is where I'm going to do this. We could create it as a completely different function, but for right now we're just going to put it in here. So here's where we're checking if the food is at the same spot for the snake's head. I'm going to go below this, and I'm going to back out of that if block, and I'm going to say check for collision with walls. We're going to make the snake disappear and the food disappear when we hit the wall and have the game over show up. So I do need to know how long the snake is. And I'm going to make a variable called length and get the length of the snake at that point. That'll tell me how many segments there are. So the first thing I'm going to do is check if snake has gone off the right side. That's going to look like this. I'm going to say if the first dot x coordinate, that's his head, is greater than 200, I'm going to call game over, and that'll make the game over screen show up. And then I need to go through every single piece of the snake and hide each segment of him. So I'm going to say for I in range, and it's the length. That's how long that snake is. I'm going to hide that individual piece of my snake. And I can just do that with a hide turtle, which is awesome. And then I will hide the food. And that's just one piece, so I can just call that by itself. Then, after I check that if, I want to, and we can put in here, hide each piece, here I'll call them segment of the snake. Now, I'm going to check to see if he's gone off the left side of the screen. So I'll say if first x coordinate, so it's going to be the head, is less than negative 200, that's the way off this left side of the screen. If that's true, he's gone off the left. And we're going to do this, so I'm going to copy and paste right here. We're going to say game over, and we're going to do this hiding thing again. So paste, we have game over, hide the segment, and then we will also hide the food. Should have copied that right there. Next, we're going to check if the snake has gone off of the top of the screen. And to do that, we're going to do again an if, and we're going to check that first, but this time it's the Y because it's up and down. And the top is 200, so I'm going to say if it's over 200, that means the snake's gone off the top. And I'm going to copy and paste this whole chunk right here. The game over, and then going through and hiding each piece. Now, we've talked a little bit about functions. We could turn this into a function that would be hiding the snake and calling the game over. Then we would just make one call right here. And that actually would be best practice to do. But for ease of you understanding what's going on in this very first game, we're going to leave it just how it is. Okay, so the final thing we need to check, and that's if it goes off the bottom. So if the snake has gone off the bottom of the screen, that's going to be an if, and this time we're looking for the first, which is his head. If that coordinate is negative 200, that's the Y coordinate. So that's the bottom. And we're going to paste that whole chunk right here. We're going to go ahead and hide all of those pieces of that. Make sure you save your work or turn your autosave on. And now when you play it, when the snake goes off the right, top, left, or bottom, game over should pop up. The snake disappears, and so does the food. It is very important to test every single direction, and you should have tested it each time you were doing it, but I didn't make you do that. That one works. So we have right and top are working. Let's go down. Excellent. And let's go left. Beautiful. That's improvement number 2.